different methods that you can use to value your inventory. And what we're going to use today for an example is boxes of sweetheart candies. Since we're coming up on Valentine's Day, I thought that'd be an easy example for us to follow. And so what we've done is we've purchased 7 boxes of the sweetheart candies on different dates. You can see February 1st, February 6th, February 10th, and finally on the day before Valentine's on February 13th. Now there's 4 different methods that you can use to figure out how much your inventory is worth. And the first one is called the specific identification method. And that's where you know exactly which 3 boxes of candy that you sold. And we can see here that we sold one on, we sold one from February 1st. We sold one from the one that we bought on February 13th and one from February 10th. So let's just go up and circle those so we can see them very easily. And we had one on the 13th and one on the 10th. And so if we were calculating the cost of goods sold, we would just add those 3 numbers that are circled in green. And so that's what was done right here. And they add up to $6.25. Cost of goods sold is right here, the CGS. The ending inventory, what we have left over, are these that I'm going to underline. And so if we added those all together, our ending inventory would be here, and it also adds up to $6.25. Whenever we want to know what we had available for merchandise, it's your cost of goods sold plus your ending inventory. And so that's shown right here. And it adds up to $12.50, which is the total of everything that we had available. And so the specific identification method is the most accurate method, and it's also the method that you would use for larger items like cars. You know exactly which Ford Focus you sold. It was the green one with VIN number such and such, and we bought it on such and such a date. It would not be used for cans of corn. It's something that's much larger and easy to identify. Washers and dryers, for example, in an appliance store. So that's the first method. The second method is called FIFO, and FIFO stands for first in, first out. And what this assumes is that the first things that we buy would be the first things that we sold. And so we're just going to start fresh here. We know that we sold 3. With FIFO, we assume that the first ones we bought are also the first ones that we sold. So that means that we sold these 3. So when we add these 3 together, we get $5, right? 1, 2, 50, 3, no, $4. So it's $4. So the cost of goods sold is $4. The ending inventory, everything that we have left over, is going to be $4,780. If we add those 2 together, it's $12.50, which is the same as what we had up here for the merchandise available for sale. So we know that we did it right. So with the FIFO method, cost of goods sold is $4, ending inventory is $8.50. So I'm going to erase those so we can start over again. And now we're looking at LIFO. LIFO is the last in, first out. So that's assuming the ones that we bought here most recently, we would sell first. We sold 3, so it would be these 3 at the end. That would be what we'd sell. So cost of goods sold in this case is $7. The ending inventory is everything left over here, and that would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 50. We add those together and we get $12.50. Once again, that's the cost of the merchandise available for sale, and so we know we did it right. It came up to $12.50. Now, what would make someone decide to use FIFO or LIFO? Well, first in, first out would be used by a business that the merchandise gets old. So like fruits and vegetables. You want to sell the ones you bought first. You want to sell those first. And so you rotate things, putting the older things up in front, hoping that customers will take those, and that way they won't go to waste. Last in, first out might be something like at a hardware store where they buy 100 more bolts and they just throw them on top of the old bolts. It doesn't matter. Bolts don't get old, and so it doesn't matter if you keep them separate or not. So they might use LIFO for that reason. Accountants use it in relationship to if they want to have a high net income or a low net income. And so we'll look at that more later, but this example is just to show you a very simplified manner of how we do this. And so the last one we have to do is the weighted average. And so once again, we're going to clear these off. And with the weighted average, what you want to do is find out, well, what's the average cost that we've been paying? And so if they cost $12.50 altogether, and we had 7 of them, I believe this comes out to $1.79, but let me check. Yes. So it comes out to $1.79 per item. So if we know we sold 3, then the cost of goods sold is 3 times $1.79. And 3 times $1.79 is $5.37. And so the ending inventory would be 4 times $1.79. And that comes up to $7.16. And if we add those two together, we're going to get $12.53. Now you'll notice that that's 3 cents off, and the reason for that is because we had to round the $1.79. And so you won't always come out exactly right with the weighted average. Now the weighted average method, the answer that you get for cost of goods sold will always come out between the other two. Between the first, LIFO and FIFO, $5.37 is between $4 and $7. I underlined the wrong one here, cost of goods sold. Weighted average is used for, like, say, for example, a gas station. When they get new gas and it's pumped into the tank underground, there's no way to keep those separate. It all gets mixed together. When you go to get gas, you don't know if you're getting the gas that was delivered last week or this week. So we just average it and figure it all out together. So this is a very simplified method of looking at the 4 ways to value your inventory, and we'll be looking at some more complicated ones in the textbook, but I think this really gets us a good start on understanding how the concept works.